The Sierra Vista City Council work session for January 11th to order. Welcome to the new year. And we'll start with items. We're all present, just for the record. We'll start with item 2A, which is the January 13th, 2020 council meeting agenda. And we start, as we usually do, with the call to order, roll call, invocation, pledge of allegiance, acceptance of the agenda, and then the first thing would be the city manager's report. Chuck, if you want to share whether there's anything from the city manager's report.
Yeah, we did get the November sales tax figures, and they were also up over 9%, as were the previous 2 months. So our sales tax revenues are still looking very healthy going into the holiday season. So, you know, that's a positive thing. We've got a JPA board meeting.
Here, Chuck, before you go on there, just for the folks that haven't been on the council for a while, usually the December and January numbers look pretty good, pretty much saying there's not really a big dip. But if
they
we have a
reflect
dip,
the holiday sales.
yeah, if we have a big dip, it'll be in February, March, and that part of the year.
Yeah, usually the second half of the fiscal year runs a little better, and and kind of tails off as we get towards spring and summer. But yeah, right now we're up over 10% for the year, though, so we're looking very strong there. So that's good, and then we'll have a JPA board meeting Thursday morning, and primary discussion item is the board has already voted to support an increase for dispatchers, and we just haven't fixed an amount yet. So budget staff is working on a recommendation for us, and we'll take that up that morning. And I need to know how that's going to impact the overall CCOM budget before I can support a number. So.
And obviously, a raise there is important so we can retain.
That's correct. So,
Okay.
but it will have an impact on the CCOM budget, so we need to discuss that as well. So those will be the two primary items I'll be talking about, Mr. Mayor. Also on the agenda, you have awards and presentations, and obviously an important one on honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but we do have an item of interest regarding the payment of our bonds that should be on the agenda as well.
Okay.
In that part.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
I received an email, I probably all did, that the Berean Academy will not be doing the pledge.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. They have a issue with
COVID.
in the school, so they're not going to be here.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. Obviously, the Omicron mutation of the virus is hitting the community pretty hard, and it's the same for staff as well as my older son. So we're dealing with that right now in a number of departments.
In personnel, I just read before I came up on the email, personnel did put another set of guidelines out. So if the council wants to know what the requirements are, the standards are for with internal to the city, the latest ones have just come out. So we appear to be on top of things, which is always a good thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Speaking of, is that it, Chuck?
Yeah.
Speaking of awards and presentations, we will be doing a certificate for with the local NAACP for Martin Luther King Day. They have decided they're not going to be doing the march on Monday. However, they still are recommending that everybody participates in the day of service with their organizations, and they in particular on the 15th are going to clean up along Martin Luther King Boulevard. So I would recommend that you get with the NAACP if you want to go out and pick up bad stuff off of Martin Luther King Boulevard on the 15th. Okay, we now get to the consent agenda. The first item is the minutes of December 9, 2021. Any questions, discussions, comments, corrections? Okay. Item 2.2, again, is the special city council meeting minutes of December 2021. Any additions, corrections, completions? Okay. So we'll go on to the item 2.3, discussion, possible action, resolution, reappointment of John Moreno to the Parks and Rec Commission for set term of December 31, 2023. Anybody have any comments?
No, I was just glad to have him coming back. We have a full boat, so
Okay, that's good.
it's just nice him returning.
Okay, and then the 2.4 is the discussion and possible action on the utility easement for Sulphur Springs Electric for the new medical service station at Tompkins Park. Does anybody from staff want to touch that one?
I think Sharon's got
Sharon, you can handle this one with aplomb, I'm sure.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, this is a fairly standard utility easement. Let me click over to the map here. It's probably a little more helpful. So, as the mayor noted, related to the EMS substation, it's a 20-foot easement to provide electrical service to the building. The city will maintain what's called prior rights. So for whatever reason, we would need to do improvements in the future. SSVEC would be required to move the lines at their cost. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
None?
Thank you, Sharon. Appreciate it. Okay, then we go onto the new business. Item 3 is a discussion of possible action of ordinance amendments to Chapter 30, City Code of Ordinance. And, oh, there you go.
Here I
Wasn't expecting to see you doing this, but go ahead. I was
am.
looking
Okay.
for-
Mayor Mueller, members of
Oh,
council, as
thank
you
you, Ms. Adams.
recall, last fall, when we did the update to the council
that's-
policy and procedure manual, we started a revision and update of the Code of Ordinance chapter that relates to city council. This reading on Thursday is the final reading. It has been approved as a resolution. We have waited more than the 30 days, hoping for public comment, of which none was received. And if approved Thursday night, the amendments that you all approved in November at your November 18th meeting will be set into code 30 days following the passage, if approved. Again, the primary changes were to update the language so that it reflects current policy and procedures as it relates to meetings, notices, things like that. We eliminated the ban on smoking at council meetings because that's in state law and doesn't need to be in our code, and the penalties attached. And we did change some of the language in the appointment for Mayor Pro Tem going forward to make it a council resolution approval. And other than that, like I said, it's exactly what you approved on November 18th.
Thank you, Mrs. Adams. Any questions for Mrs. Adams? Any further discussion? Okay. That should be a routine thing. Now, item number 4, discussion of possible action resolution 2022-003, State Parks and Lands. Again, we got Sharon coming on.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, first of all, just so you know, Irene Zuniga, the city's capital improvements and development manager, will be presenting this item to you on Thursday. She just got tied up at a doctor's appointment with her daughter, so I agreed to take the item for today. But if you recall, a couple months ago, I had presented an item to you asking for council's approval to apply for this grant, and great news, we got it. So this grant is for various upgrades to the new Veterans Memorial Park Sports Complex and also the adjacent city well site. There's a list of proposed improvements there that you can see. Approximately the first half are related to the existing well site at Veterans Memorial Park. And then there's also various irrigation improvements, field improvements at the new Veterans Memorial Park Sports Complex. Estimated project cost is $3 million, with about $1.5 million grant funded through the state parks grant. City share is $1.5 million, so it's a 50-50, and then we also have a $90,000, what's called a surcharge, 6% surcharge on the project. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Oh, hold on. I got a map. So there you can see how all the different existing improvements lay out and the areas that we have little projects planned.
And our matching funds comes out of this year's budget check?
That's correct, and it's
And
already budgeted.
It's already
Mr. Mayor.
budgeted? Yep, okay.
I just want to make a couple other points about this. If you recall, in the fall, the council approved the parks plan for Sierra Vista over the next 10 years, also in your strategic plan, and that had a price tag of about $40 million associated with it. So right here, you're seeing a $3 million investment towards that goal. And staff is working with Schneider Electric on a Phase 2 project that will also chip away at this potential project here. So this is a really, really good thing, and we haven't received one of these grants for a long time. I can't even remember. I know we got one sometime, but
Not in this
Been a while.
magnitude.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
but this is a significant grant award from the state, so we really appreciate their support in this.
Okay. Questions for staff?
Just want to thank you for, thankful that we have staff that do things like this, that are proactive, and that go out for grants. A lot of cities and towns don't have people that do that for them, so I really appreciate it. It's really good to see one come back approved. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you very much, Sharon. Appreciate you filling in for Ms. Zuniga. Okay, and the next things on the agenda would be the call to the public and the comments and requests to council and adjournment. So that is item A, 2A, unless there are any comments. Okay, report on trips, meetings, and future meetings. Assistant City Manager, have we got anything on the schedule for the next couple of months for meetings and future meetings?
Well, right now, what I've got, Mr. Mayor, is your executive reports coming up, of course, that's a regular item, and then your mid-year budget review is scheduled for the second work session in February.
Okay.
And you have a mayor-manager's lunch.
And we have mayor
scheduled.
manager lunch next week in Douglas, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Hopefully you guys saw an invitation. If you didn't, you need to get with the secretaries and they'll share it with you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
On the mid-year budget review, that's when we'll be looking at possible adjustments for compensation, right? Will that be done in time for that?
That's the one, we need to have that conversation before the mid-year
Okay.
review,
So we'll have that beforehand.
you need to get with the assistant city manager and schedule, see if we can schedule time before that.
Okay. I meant for the,
You talk about the city manager's compensation,
I'm
all
talking
compensation.
about, yeah, we had talked about doing a mid-year adjustment potentially,
Okay,
looking at that to go to market with the employees.
so Chuck, when will we do that?
Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Gray, we don't yet have the market survey complete for next year's budget. So currently, I've directed staff to pursue adjustments based on last year's adjustments, which is the 4 and 2. I wasn't envisioning that happening until next fiscal year and next year's budget. So, and then we were going to look and see where we were in the market and make any other adjustments from that point. So I don't think we're looking at making a midstream adjustment right now until we know our numbers a little better.
Okay.
We're recommending one.
So then the only need for a meeting is, we need to meet and talk about the city manager's compensation.
I'm waiting on HR.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
waiting
on
on
HR, yeah, to get that
Yeah,
information to me.
Okay, so you need to set those dates with the assistant city manager.
I will, I
Okay.
will.
Anybody else? Meetings, future meetings, reports? I know most of us probably haven't been traveling over the holidays to go to meetings. Okay. Future discussion items and requests of council. Sir.
I have prepared a statement that I'd like to read as my council request. This past year, our city was held hostage by someone who had his own interests as his only priority. I'm speaking of the seated non-licensed Justice of the Peace of JP5, who's running for re-election this year. A precedent has now been set by paying 47% of all expenses for JP5, giving up all fines which would normally come back to our municipality, and plus an annual bonus of 52.5, which, by the way, is just for doing his job, which could be increased if he decided he wanted another raise. My newest proposal is that we establish a municipal court and place it on the West End. This establishment of a municipal court would be a catalyst for redevelopment of this area with attorneys' offices nearby and a more cosmopolitan vibe than we currently have at the West End. We could do a new build or we could do a renovation. During our break for the holidays, I did a survey of similar population cities between 40,000 and 50,000 population and throughout Arizona as well as other states, the majority of which bit the bullet and provided this essential city service of a municipal court. Let's talk about essential services for a moment. Police, fire, emergency medical services, trash, sewer, and maintenance of our infrastructure are all important in maintaining our quality of life. But we spend money on a great number of non-essential things that we call quality of life that, in my estimation, are nice things to have and do, but our city, with a $115 million budget this year, should be able to prioritize establishing a municipal court going forward into the future. We sitting up here, we're elected to be policymakers, and that is my proposal. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, then.
Just on a different topic, but not the same
Oh.
topic.
Yeah.
Just would, I would, with my normal meeting with the city manager, assistant city manager, I definitely want to reschedule that, because I do want to talk about the midstream adjustment, if possible, this year. Just because there's some circumstances that I think are going to lead to that need. So we'll just sit down when we get a chance, and I really want to talk to you guys about that.
Sure.
Okay, that's it.
All right. Anything else before the council today?
Is that a request to put that on as a discussion item, Greg?
It's my proposal, yes.
Okay. Just want
I
to make
mean,
sure.
there would have to be a lot of research going forward.
That's a subject that he's got a proposal. We need to sit down, as we discussed earlier, we need to sit down with the city management team and look at what the options are. That's obviously an option. So and I'm not ready to set a date yet until I talk to the manager and find out when we can sit down and lay these things out.
Okay.
And it's not, you're right, it's not gonna be a easy or
No.
or fun discussion, but it's gonna have to be an in-depth one so we make the right decision.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Right. Anything else? Seeing nothing else before the council, meeting is adjourned.